can't stop thinking about this week as someone who works in Hollywood and is also a creator is Amazon officially announcing that they're folding Wondery into Audible. And this is really, really big news if you are paying attention. It says a lot about where podcast and the audio industry is headed. For context, so back in 2008, Amazon acquired Audible for $300 million. It really cemented Amazon as like the powerhouse in audio content. And in 2021, they really wanted to get into the podcasting game. And so they acquired Wondery for another $300 million. And if you remember at the time, Wondery was like the biggest independent podcast studio. They had a lot of hits like Dirty John, which eventually became a Netflix show, and Business Wars, which I used to love listening to. And when Amazon acquired Wondery, it was clearly them signaling, we are going to be a big podcast player and we are going to go head to head with the Spotify, with the Apples of the world. Fast forward to 2025, just less than 5 years later, like, of course the podcast industry is still very much growing, but it's changed. One of the things that has really changed over the last couple of years in the podcast industry is video first becoming huge. And YouTube has really been coming out on top when it comes to like discovering and actually watching podcasts. Most creators now have a video format for their podcasts, and I know that I actually prefer to watch my podcast on YouTube. So YouTube has really been winning. Spotify already has video, and I think Amazon is recognizing kind of where the podcast business is going. Them making this shift is now Amazon saying, we are not going to compete head to head, just going to take a small piece, a little piece of the podcast pie. And the other thing that it's signaling is that these heavily produced narrative shows are harder to scale and harder to monetize, which is also something we're seeing in television and in movies. Meanwhile, creator-led shows are getting bigger audiences, bigger ad dollars, and are much cheaper to produce. You're reading between the lines, Amazon is essentially admitting that their big bet did not pay off.